Today in our webinar, we're going to discuss the importance of bins and lots in Macola software. We want to see how the WMS system makes it much easier to gain traceability and movement throughout the warehouse. I'm Bob Hawk. I'm the Director of Sales. This is my email address, bhawk@wisys.com, and my phone number is 614-515-4141. So let's talk about bin control. There's some benefits to having bin control. Every item in the warehouse has an organization where you can logically put things away. You'll know exactly the quantities of each item and where they are. You'll be able to validate your inventory more quickly and accurately using bin control when you're doing cycle counting or physical counting. And you'll be able to add direction if you need to, so you can direct people in a path that makes the most sense. There's some pitfalls to having bin control. One, every transaction takes away the freedom to just put the item anywhere. You're going to actually record the spot that you put it, not just drop it off and walk away. So you need to do the transaction to keep the system up to date. These transactions do take time, and that's why we're going to use a scan gun. Users have to write things down on paper and turn them into the office to have them later key punched back into the system. And once you turn on bin control, Macola has rules. Macola has a rule that says when you're really using bins, you need to record and keep track of where it is. So you can't drive the quantity on hand negative. All right, let's talk about lot control. Again, lot control has some benefits. Items are grouped and associated together. Sometimes they call them batches or lots. Items can be reviewed by product based on first in, first out, or first in and first to expire. So there's different dates available on lots. You'll have traceability from where you purchased that lot and to how you consume it all the way through to the sale. And if you're using a quality system, you'll be able to track the lot in your quality system from Macola to the sale again. And if you're ever audited, the system has controls in it to be able to look things up very quickly. On the downside, you have to do more transactions to keep the system up to date, just like bins. And it does take time to do these transactions, and users have to write them down, and you have to be able to read somebody's writing. And just like bins, lots can't go negative either. So let's look at a sample workflow before and after. Let's take a look at what happens before you use a warehouse system. So we're going to refer to this as a paper-based receiving process or a workflow. So there's a truck that delivers raw materials. The raw materials are received and reviewed coming off the shipment. The receiver writes them down on paper on how much was received and what the quantities were. The receiving has to put the raw materials away. And then the documents, the receiver takes the documents to accounting and drops them off. And accounting has to key punch the data into the Macola system. Finally, this is the first time after a period of hours or maybe even a day later that the receipts are available to be seen in the Macola inventory. So you can see there's a number of steps and an elapsed time. Now let's take a look at real-time receiving workflow. Same truck delivers the products. Raw materials are coming in. The receiving agent receives and actually does the transactions right there. So the receipt is in the system, and now there's visibility of that Macola inventory. The receiver agent then puts the raw materials away using a scan gun. So it's just that quick to get material. All right, let's take a look at our demonstration of how bins and lots work. On my screen, you can see that I have a copy of Agility Mobile displayed so that you can see me do transactions out in the warehouse. Behind this screen for the mobile device, I have a view of a couple items in inventory. I'm just going to point out that I have Salt Organic, Salt-O, and I have these items in 2 bins. One of the functions on the scan gun is a bin drill down. So in terms of working with bins and lots, many times you want to walk out into the warehouse and see what's really in inventory. When you have this application open, bin drill down, I can walk up to a bin and I can just scan that bin and I can look and see exactly what's in it. Go to another bin, overstock. It shows me that I have 500 in overstock also. So that matches up exactly what we see here in inventory. If we look here for the quantity of 500, it matches up. This is also my cycle count for what I want to cycle count today for my daily batch. I have these 2 items. So again, using the scan gun, it's really easy to do a cycle count. Come in and do cycle count by bin. And I'm going to open my batch. And I'm just going to walk up to bin S100. And I'm going to scan the item that I find in that bin. And I'm going to scan the lot. And I have to enter the quantity that I'm going to find. Notice that it already knows the tag number. So the handheld is directly connected and looking at that batch that we've created in Macola. I'm going to enter $4.99. And I'm going to click Count. When I click Count and come back over here and just refresh the screen, you'll see that it's updated the tag file with $4.99. And it's showing me a variance. So we have some very nice reports built into the Agility menu to help you look at your items and create variance so you can make decisions about whether you need to recount items or not. All right, let's count one more item. And I'm going to come up to the overstock bin, clear that. And I'm going to go to the bin overstock and the item and the lot number of the item that I'm going to find. And I'm going to enter the quantity, 500. Count. So when I come back over here, you can see that I've counted 500. It matches. So the benefit here is that you're updating the tag file as you go. You don't have to write it down and give it to somebody else to key punch in. And the controller or the accounting manager can look at the batch and see how people are doing. If something looks odd, maybe I fat-fingered it and typed in 5,000, the controller could send me back out to do another count of that item. Okay. So that is as easy as it is to walk into the warehouse and look up items and count items by bins. Let's go a little further. I'm going to go to my order console. So in my system today, I have a sales order, and I want to work on that sales order. And the goal here today is to actually make some product and ship some product using bins and lots. So you'll notice here with my Agility, I can easily focus and maybe sort just for customer 901. So now I'm looking at just customer 901's information. And I could easily filter on these grids Maybe I want to look at just UPS orders, or maybe I want to look at LTL orders for customer 901. You can sort this into the earliest line on the order to ship. So it's real easy to work with that in that manner. Today I'm going to simply type in my order number, 208. This 208 is for Awesome Sauce. So I have a question. Do I have enough inventory in stock to ship this? Well, you'll notice here quantity to ship is 0, quantity to back ordered is 288. I really don't have any inventory in stock yet. Let's go ahead and drill down for this Awesome Sauce and take a look at what's going on in inventory. Well, here's my sales order. I do have a shop order for it. I'm going to take a look at the can build function to see how I'm doing. Do I have enough material to make this product? Well, I could come in and type in the quantity 288, refresh the screen, and it really tells me all the quantities that I need, but I'm short. I'm short on salt. In fact, I don't have any. Let's go back and see about salt. If I look at my salt item, and I'll go over here to the inventory location master, and I'll look up salt. So salt. Notice that I have a PO here. So if I expedite this PO, I can get it to come in right now, and I'll be able to do some receiving against it. So now we know that we have a sales order in the system creating demand. I've got a shortage. I've got a PO for salt. I'm going to expedite, bring it in, and then I'll be able to work with this and do some production. Okay. So let's go back, and I'll go back to the handheld. And I'm going to do PO receiving. So I happen to have my PO at the dock. I'm going to scan the PO. I'm going to scan the item that's coming in. And this particular item, I have the UPC number printed on the box that it came in on. So I can scan that. It's asking me to receive it into a bin that it's never been in before. So on the screen, it's interpreted the UPC number to salt, and it shows me the quantity remaining to receive. So I have a truck, it's delivering the salt on this against this PO, and you'll see that it's defaulting to the dock. This is a binned item, so I have to tell the computer where it's being received to. So this particular item that I'm bringing in, I need to capture the lot number. I'm going to bring all 3,000 of these units in. I'm going to capture that. I have an option to scan the manufacturer's lot number. I'm going to just skip that. I'm going to go ahead and receive all 3,000. And I'll get a label. Okay. I've just got a label for the 3,000 that I've received. At this point, I want to begin to work with that product. So I'm going to do something called multiple pallet. I'm going to build multiple pallets of that salt. So the salt that was delivered, there were 3,000. They came in on 3 different pallets. So I'm going to actually palletize that product into Macola. This is a function that's in WiSys that we sync up with Macola to keep it both in line with bins, lots, and pallets. So I'm going to scan the item that I brought in, and I need to tell it where it is right now. And I'm going to scan the lot number of the pallet, and it says how many is on each pallet. So there's 1,000 on each pallet, and I want to build 3 pallets. And it's going to ask me which label printer do I want to use. So I've received the product. I have now palletized the product. and I've got it at the dock, and I'm going to actually label each pallet so I can use them. So I have pallet 1, pallet 2, and pallet 3. So now that I have the pallets, I'm going to actually put them away. I'll go ahead and I'm going to do a put away transaction, which is really just a pallet transfer. So I'm going to take pallet number 120, and I'm going to transfer it to bin A000. So I'm going to put it on the forklift and take it over and put it in that bin. Okay. I'm going to go back and get another pallet, and I'm going to carry it on my forklift over to A100. So I put that in A100. And I'm going to do it for the third pallet. I'm going to put that in A200. So just like that, I did my pallet movement back into inventory. I didn't have to write anything down. I just did quick movement. Okay. So let's go back into Macola and take a look. So I'm going to go back into and look at salt. And if I look at the pallet, if I click on the pallet button, well, I clicked on the wrong button, pallets. Okay. So when I look at pallet 18, 119, and 120, it shows me exactly what bins I put them in. It really didn't matter what order or what bin I put them in. WiSys keeps track of where those pallets are. And you can drill down and you can see the lots associated with each one. So that's pretty easy to keep track of product on a pallet that's binned and lotted. Okay, now that I have my raw materials, we're going to go back here and we're going to look at awesome sauce. And if we look here, I want you to notice that I have a shop order. So I have shop order 1012. I'm going to drill into that shop order. And here we are. We have these operations to work on, and we have material. So let's look at the material. Getting ready for today's presentation, I went ahead and did some issuing. My water is backflushed. Here's the backflush flag over here. So you can see that water is backflushed. I've actually issued my quantities here. I've already done the issuing. I was short on salt, so I couldn't issue the salt. So let's go ahead and do the issue now. So again, working with bins and lots, I need to get my traceability going. So I'm going to grab my handheld, go to the shop order tag, material issue. Now in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to over issue. I'm going to go grab an entire pallet, and I'm going to issue a pallet to that shop order. So rather than issue individual amounts, I'm going to issue the entire pallet. So let's go down here to shop floor pallet issue. So I need to know my shop order. I've got my shop packet here. So I'll scan my shop packet, and I'm going to go over and I'm going to scan the item that I want to issue, and it is salt that I want. And I'm going to validate that and then go get that pallet out of the bin that I'm looking at. And it says, is it okay to over issue? This is a warning. It could either be hard or soft. This is just a warning. I'm going to accept it. And I'm going to issue the entire amount on that pallet to the shop order. So you can see here I've issued 1,000 pounds of salt. So it'd be a really salty mixture, but when I'm done, I'll actually put away whatever I don't use. So the recipe or the bill of material tells me what I need to issue, and depending on what is really consumed, I'll weigh the pallet and then put it away later. If we go back to the item master in the location table, and we look at that salt, if we look at pallets, you'll notice that the pallet that I issued, 120, is now gone. So when I issued the pallet, it destroyed the pallet. And now the entire quantity is there in WIP. So when I return that pallet, I'll actually build a new pallet and put that on the pallet when I put it back, or I'll just put a quantity back in inventory. Either. Okay, now that I have my material issued to the job, I can begin the production process. So rather than produce individual cases, I'm going to produce pallets. And each of my pallet will have 96 on it, 96 cases. So let me go ahead and start that. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to scan my shop order. And you'll notice that I'm using a function in WiSys called Lot Builder. If you look carefully, you'll see that 1012 is my shop order, and you'll see that today's date is here. So I'm concatenating the shop order and today's date to build my lot number. So I'm going to enter the quantity of 96 cases that I've put on this pallet. I'm going to hit save. I forgot to default my label. So now I've just produced one pallet of product. I'm going to do the same thing again. Hit enter, scan my shop order, and you'll notice I've got 192 remaining for production. Another 96 goes on that pallet. You can see that I had direct access to all my network printers. If I come in here, I can actually default that label to always go to that printer. Okay, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to scan my shop order, and you'll see that there's only 96 left, and I'll put 96 on that pallet. Okay, so I've done my pallet production. I've produced against my shop order. Let's go back and take a look at that shop order. And here you can see the quantity complete is 288. So I've got that all fixed now. Okay, I've done my production, and now I'm going to go and I'm a make to ship environment. So what I want to do is go into the agility application, and I'm going to manage my sales order. So let's go over to order pick management, and I'm going to run, I can look at all my sales orders based on a number of different date ranges. I'm going to take all or before today. So these are all my sales orders in the system. And my sales order is 288 or 208. And when I entered the sales order, I had no stock available. I'm going to go ahead and fill the back order. You can fill the back order for one order at a time, or you can fill them all at once. That's really the power of a grid system. I can come in here and fill all back orders just with the click of a button. Don't have to go into Macola and execute against each one. So Just that fast, I went ahead and filled all back orders. So my order 208 is right here. And now that I've filled my back order, I have material to ship. I'm going to go ahead and print my pick ticket. So I've got my pick document. You can see that when I produced the awesome sauce was produced to a staging bin. This is where I'm going to do my QC. This is where I'm going to check things. This is where I'm going to make sure I've got my labels for my customer. But they're right here in the shipping bin, the staging bin. And it printed correctly. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wear two different hats. I'm going to be the shipping manager, and I'm going to use our shipping screen here, and I'm going to build a shipment. So on the handheld scanner, I'm going to do something called load pallets. So I'm going to start a shipment. This is creating a brand new shipment number going to one customer, and I've got my order. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan my sales order, and I'm going to I'm going to validate that I'm going to send awesome sauce to this customer, and then I'm going to shoot the pallet that I'm putting on the truck. So I just loaded one whole pallet onto the truck. If I come in here and type the shipment number, you can see here that I've loaded one pallet onto that shipment. It's not shipped yet, but I'm just building up the shipment, waiting for the actual cab to arrive to connect to the trailer and pull it away. Down here at the bottom, it shows me lines to pack. So I can look and see how far I'm through with this particular shipment. 92 are left to go, 92 cases, 192 cases. So let's go back to the handheld, and I'm going to scan the same order. It could default if I needed it to. I'm going to go ahead and scan and then hit the pallet. I'm going to do the same thing again. And I'm going to scan the last pallet. Okay. If I come back over here and refresh, you'll notice that I've loaded pallet 1, pallet 2, pallet 3. Here's the pallet numbers. Here's the quantity on each one. You can actually drill down and you can see the quantities of product and what exactly is being sent on that shipment. So if pallet number 1 fell off the truck, I could see exactly what was in that pallet. Let's go ahead and ship. The truck is ready to go. The driver's here. It could sit for a day or two, but we're ready to go right now. I'm going to go ahead and confirm ship the order by pressing the LTL button. Put in the final details. And it's got the weight, and I'm going to just accept everything the way it is. I'm going to get a packing list. And I'm going to get a bill of lading. So there's my 3 pallets on that shipment. So not only have I tied together the complete shipment, but I've also done all the paperwork for the driver and everything else. You'll see here that the order status is shipped. Let's take a look at a couple more things. Let's go back into the actual Macola software, and we'll take a look at that specific sales order, just to tie it back. Look for sales order 208. You can see here that it has been confirmed shipped. And if we look at the line item detail, I can actually see the shipment and truck and pro number that are associated with that shipment. So Macola and WiSys shipping are fully integrated. I'm going to exit out of Macola, and let's just play with a little scenario here. Let's imagine that this particular shipment had a problem when it arrived at the customer. So the customer calls in with a problem. They say that Awesome Sauce has a problem. So I need to do a little lot trace here. Just to confirm, we have a number of transactions associated with a lot. If the customer called up with a specific problem with a lot number, we can filter and pull up any lot number we want. I'm looking at just Awesome Sauce. So this is the production run that we had. If I click here, I can actually drill down into the sales order. And I can make sure that the customer that I'm talking to is the one that had the problem. If I want to look at the shop order, I can see the shop order where the item was produced, and I can drill down into the material. I can actually look at each of the items that are there. So if I want to see the Tabasco, I could drill down on that transaction, and I can actually see what was issued to that order. So here's the lot number of the Tabasco sauce that went into that batch. So we issued the salt. You remember that. If I look at that batch, I can actually drill down on that salt, and I can see the lot number there. So here's the lot number of the salt that I issued. Let's go backwards. In this case, I'm going to go now and look at salt. And I can see all the transactions related to salt. And I can find the particular lot that was issued here to my shop order. And I can see the bin and everything. So the shop order here, this is the issue for the shop order 1012. So I can actually see all the different transactions that came in related to that. Here's the purchase order. As I click these different functions, you can see the dialog boxes are changing up here. Here's the shop order, here's the purchase order. Where did I get that salt? Well, it came in on this purchase order. I can see that. And then I could drill down and look at the receiver. I can look at that information here, and I can get the lot number of the salt. Once I have that, I can easily print that to an Excel grid. So now I have that data that I could give to an inspector. So I have some information here, everything that I'm going to need. So all those different transactions are happening. Let's go back to the salt again. And if I look at the salt, you can see here on hand, I still have 2 pallets of that salt. So I want to put those on a quality hold. So I'm going to hold that material now. So I've been able to do my receiving, do my issuing, do my production, and ship out everything, and even trace it all the way back to the source of that salt that may have had a problem, and put everything on hold until it can be cleared up. So what's the moral of the story? The value of turning on bins and lots in Macola in conjunction with WiSys really improves your visibility in the following areas: the location of every item, the quantity in each location, the quantity of each associated serial lot number is kept track of, and the age and expiration date of each lot is there for us to take a look at. We have the availability of doing a trace in just a few minutes rather than days or hours. And best of all, the transactions done on a scan gun are very easy, they're quick, and they're accurate to get done. One of our customers, GPA, is located in the Chicago area. They're a specialty printable substrate solution provider in North America. They told us that after 2 years, they saved $1 million in inventory reductions based on using our system. They've seen an increase in their pick rate. They've been able to get 96% efficiency. Same-day shipments are up to 95%. And their physical inventory, well, they don't do it anymore. They go with cycle counts. It's very accurate. So let's talk and see if there are some questions.